Welcome back to Wednesday Sports Talk. How you doing, Daniel?
Just kind of chilling. Let's get this podcast on.
Wolves opening up as 2.5-point favorites against Memphis on Wednesday. Seems like they're on a bit of a roll. They're getting Cat back. They have a Kogi back. They should have won Saturday and lost in overtime because D'Lo can't hit a step-back jumper to ice the game of regulation. And then they did win on Sunday. How do you feel about the game?
Memphis sucks. There's that. So that's good.
Yeah.
But just kind of looking at the standings, I'm shocked that the Rockets are below Memphis somehow. The Rockets are the 14th seed. Memphis is the 13th. And Minnesota hasn't played as many games as the other. Actually, Minnesota has more games, excuse me. And the record is worse. So, that's not great.
Well,
but hopefully with Cat back, that'll make a bit of a difference, considering that they're clearly a better team when he's on the court.
I'm not going to count these last two games against San Antonio with Cat kind of back from injury. I mean, he rested that last game, so it was back-to-back. But, I mean, without Cat in that little stretch there in early January, they were 0-7.
I have to admit, I'm kind of surprised the fact that they're not that good without. I don't get why he's such a defining player to the franchise. You'd think that D'Lo would step up to the plate, and he's been their main guy. I mean, but with Cat, there's just a significantly better team, and it kind of just doesn't make any sense to me.
It seemed like a brain-dead team trying to get boards without Cat on the floor.
But centers just aren't as important in the NBA now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but rebounds are important without, the rest of the team just stinks
True.
at rebounding. Just pulling up the stats here, if you want to look at rebounding, Cat has 12 rebounds a game. The next highest is Jarrett Culver with 6. Cat's doubling up the rest of the team.
That's tough.
The other centers, Ed Davis has 5.5, but he's only averaging 2.4 points a game. And the other center, Naz Reid, he only has 4.4 rebounds a game. The team stinks at rebounding without Cat on the floor.
Sounds just like Taco Fall if he was the starting center.
Yeah. Jeez.
Hate to see it.
Moving off of Cat here, let's talk about Ryan Saunders. He stinks at his job, but he's the son of Flip Saunders, so Glenn Taylor's going to keep him at his position, which stinks. But I like to use plus minus to judge how meaningful a player is to their team. I'm going to throw out Jaden McDaniels and Jalen Noel, who are at the top of the list for the Wolves, just because they don't play much, under 8 minutes a game for each of them. They could go on a run there, went in garbage time with the bench. Who cares? The other team probably has the threes in at that point. So I'm just Cat on top of that list, 4.7. Okogie 1, Jared Vanderbilt 0.5, and everyone else has negative plus minus. And that makes sense. Okogie, one of the best defenders on the Wolves. Cat is Cat, and Jared Vanderbilt has probably the most hustle on that team. You see him out there. He's just getting boards, going up for blocks, trying to get the driving layup. He is probably the hardest worker on that team outside of maybe your superstars.
Sounds accurate. I'm just kind of taking your word for it. What do you want to talk about? How long has he been their head coach for?
No, we'll get to that later.
All right.
So in getting back to that point about Ryan Saunders, why on earth isn't Jared Vanderbilt in the rotation anymore? If you want to look at minutes played, you have Juancho Hernan-Gomez and Jordan McLaughlin both above Jared Vanderbilt. Why? Juancho stinks, and McLaughlin, why? That's ridiculous. Why is McLaughlin having a minute more a game played than Jared Vanderbilt? I don't know what Vandy did to Ryan to piss him off, but Ryan needs to get over it and put him on the court because the Wolves stink when he's not on the court.
Is it possible that there's some tension between the owners and the head coach? There's pressure put onto him?
No, there's no pressure on Ryan because Flip Saunders, coach when KG was here, he tragically passed away, and Ryan's his son. So Glenn Taylor's going to keep him around because he's a baby.
That's kind of a good it kind of reminds me of Al Davis thing on the phone with his kid, Mark Davis.
I don't care. Get Ryan out. What's his record? I don't even know if he has 20 wins yet as a head coach.
Imagine. Don't they play 76 games? 77?
His first year was last year, but either way, I don't care.
That's
Win
tough.
games.
That's real tough.
And granted, last season was cut short. So, still.
How many games was last season? It wasn't that many.
I have no idea.
Word.
I mean, you have a top 3, top 2 center in the NBA. You have a top 50 player in the NBA in D'Angelo Russell, maybe top 40. You have a Rookie of the Year candidate. You have a player who's just on fire recently, Malik Beasley. Like, why can't you win games?
I mean, it just comes in basketball. Are they losing close games? It doesn't seem like they're losing
No.
close games. It's
I mean,
just absolute blowouts.
Hold on. Keep talking. I'm going to pull up the stupid Wolves schedule.
I mean, it just doesn't reasonable the fact that if they're giving up that many points. Is it a defensive problem? Like, how many points are they averaging per game? And then you have to compare that to how many points they're like the teams that they're playing against average a game.
Okay, so let me get.
It might be more than a coaching issue, you know.
I'm gonna throw out those 2 games without Cat, or with Cat rather, to start the year. So you played LA, you lost 91 to 127. Offense and defense stunk. You lost to the Clippers 101 to 124. The Wizards 109 to 130. The Nuggets 109 to 124. The Nuggets again 116 to 123. The Blazers 117 to 135. And then you get Cat back, you lose by 3 in overtime, then you win the next game. So without Cat, they are just a god-awful team. They're by far the worst team in the NBA without Cat. I don't know how on earth there are teams worse than the Wolves right now because oh my god.
Was it your prediction that they had a good chance at the playoffs too?
They do have, well, I didn't expect Cat's wrist to pop out of its socket, but good lord. I mean, with Cat on the court, I mean, they should have blown out the Jazz. They got a little close there in the end because Ryan stinks at closing out games. I mean, they should have beat the Spurs, as I said earlier, that overtime game where they just fouled. Yeah, go ahead, foul DeMar DeRozan when you're up 2. Why? You have like 15 seconds left. You can't let that. Why would you do that? I'm so sick of this team.
And your prediction was that they had a good shot at the playoffs. Just saying.
You know what? I probably will. You know what? Bet next week I'm going to predict the Wolves to make the playoffs.
Yeah, you better put money on that.
I'm not going to. I won't put money on it, but I will.
Exactly. Yeah. See, that's no integrity, none at all. I don't believe you're like. There's okay. Compare the Wolves to the rest of the teams in the NBA right now. How do they line up?
Let me go over here to I'm going to make these statements assuming Cat is on the court and everyone else is healthy. I'm just going to say that. They are better than the Grizzlies. They are better than the Rockets. They are better than the Kings. They are better than the Spurs. 1, 2, 3, 4.
You think they're better with the Rockets with James Harden?
The Rockets stink right now and they have James Harden.
Yeah, but they have fat James Harden.
I don't care. So, by that logic, they're already better than 4 teams, so if they can just beat out New Orleans, who else is up there? There are some teams overachieving right now. If they can, why is OKC 5-4? If they can beat out New Orleans or OKC for that fifth team,
that brings my next question. How is OKC doing better than when they are playing with like no one? They have no one on that entire roster.
They have Shea. Anyways, look, if they can beat out OKC, if they can beat out OKC there, they're suddenly the 10 seed and they're in the play-in tournament, and I'm right. If they have Cat on the court,
doesn't mean that they're going to win in the play-ins though. That's the thing.
I don't care. I wouldn't predict them to make the playoffs. I would predict them to make the play-in. I'm going to get back to Ryan Saunders again. His rotations stink. Why? I haven't been paying too much attention the last few games. I tuned out in the Portland game because they were getting clapped. And San Antonio, the 2 San Antonio games, I kind of forget. But I know those 2 games against Denver, Ricky Rubio was on the court to start the 4th quarter, both times with a Wolves lead. In the first game, Ricky Rubio threw 3 bricks from deep, let the Nuggets come back. They were on 19-0 run or something because that's what the Wolves do. And then the last game against Denver, he just decided, let me just hand the ball to Jokic. Why? You play for the Wolves. Why are you handing it to a Nugget?
Turnovers, man. It's just the way it is.
Why is Rubio on the court to start the 4th quarter? Why?
I mean, they're not tanking, are they? They're not tanking.
No, they can't tank because they gave up their first round pick to the Warriors unless they somehow get a top 3 pick, which, good God, they do that again. They
Be like
do
the
that
Knicks.
again.
Are they? Oh, here's the next point of discussion. Are the Wolves the new Knicks?
No, because the Knicks have literally nobody on their team.
And yet they have a better record than the Timberwolves.
Shut up.
No, no. You have to answer the question. Are the Wolves the new Knicks?
No, they're not the new Knicks.
So explain to me how a team with several star players has a worse record than a team with no players in OKC and a team with literally no one at all in the Knicks. The Knicks don't
Because
even have a hope. If the Knicks go 500 this year, they'll get a mid-draft pick. And that's the last thing that franchise needs.
look, I'm just going to put Cat back into the lineup for those 7 games. They
One
still
player
lose.
doesn't make that much of a difference, though.
You haven't been watching the Wolves.
I don't need to watch the Wolves to know.
He makes so much of a difference.
Uh-huh.
They went from losing by double digit consistently to should have won those last 2 games.
You make it seem like Carl Anthony Towns is the next LeBron James. Like, no.
For the
No.
Wolves, he is.
Absolutely not. Absolutely
Cat
not. That
on
man
the court,
is D'Lo. That man is D'Lo. D'Lo is your number 1 player on that team.
without Cat in the lineup for the Wolves, or at least like even not last night, even Sunday night, he was there. He gave them hope. Without him there, I don't know why, but everyone else just thinks they're a dumpster fire of a team, which they are.
Reminder that the Knicks have a better record than the Timberwolves.
All right, let me just get back to this point. If I put Cat back in for those 7 games, they still lose to the Lakers. They probably still lose to the Clippers. Maybe to the Wizards. They should win those 2 games against Denver. And then if you want to go over the standings now, wrong thing. If you want to go over the standings, so that's 2 more wins, and suddenly they are 5-5 ahead of the Knicks. So I don't want to hear it.
Yes, a team with several pieces of talent are beating a nobody. Like, yay, congratulations, here's your brownie points.
The Nuggets are behind the Knicks. Oh, wait, no, they're half a game ahead. Never mind.
Yeah.
Still, the Nuggets are supposed to be a top 3 team in the West, and they're still hanging right around there. Shut up.
How are the Raptors this bad this year? What's going on there?
I have no idea. I haven't been following the Eastern Conference.
Nikolai, would you put money on the fact if the Knicks make the playoffs, you owe me $100?
No, because you still owe me $20 for saying the Browns were going to beat the Titans in the divisional round 2 years ago.
Well, I'm not that wrong.
You're pretty wrong.
I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about?
I don't think either team made the playoffs that year.
Pretty sure the Titans did. The Titans have made the playoffs the last 3 years, so yeah, that's.
Oh, they have?
Mm-hmm. They made it under Mariota, and then the year after that they made it with Tannehill. That was last year. Then the year this year they made it.
It was the year the Vikings didn't make the playoffs. It was 2018.
They still made the playoffs that year because they lost to they beat the Chiefs in the wild card. And
No. That was 17. That
was the 2018 playoffs because that was the year that Tom Brady lost to the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
Okay, then I mean the 2019 playoffs is what I'm talking about.
And the Titans still made the playoffs that year because they went to the AFC Championship.
That was the 2020 playoffs.
Good point. 2018 playoffs. Who was in that? I remember the Patriots made it to the Super Bowl. Who did they play in the AFC Championship? Chiefs, right? Yeah.
The Chiefs beat the shoot. All right. Anyways, since we are shifting over to football, let's move on to football. So the Vikings.
Hold on, before we start, let me get this bracket. Indianapolis, Houston in the wild card. LA beat Baltimore in the wild card.
Right.
LA beat New England. New England blew out LA. Kansas City blew out Indianapolis.
Yeah,
New England barely hung on against the Chiefs. Then the Chiefs beat the Rams.
So neither team made the playoffs.
That was the year that Freddie Kitchen was the head coach. So,
Be quiet. Be quiet.
They
All right. Moving on to the Vikings.
They went 17-1 that year. I don't want to hear it. Or they actually Freddie was their head coach last year, wasn't he? Not this year.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that's right. Because they're
Yeah, the
Yeah.
2 years ago was Greg Williams.
Was their interim. Hugh
Yeah,
Jackson was their head coach, though.
well, for the first, what was it, 3 games, 2 games?
It was like
They played
6.
they played the Jets week 3 or 4.
They were. He was still the coach then because he got a win.
Did he?
He got fired
Oh,
after the Pittsburgh game, which was like week 5.
my bad. Thought it was before the Jets game.
Word.
Anyways, moving on to the Vikings. This is taking way too long. So they had a disappointing season. I think they went 1-2. They beat the Lions. Cool. Since we last did a podcast. I mean, whatever. I didn't expect too much going into the year.
You
They had,
expect them to make the playoffs.
I expected them to make the playoffs as like the 6th seed and then
Mm.
lose in like the first round or something. But I mean, just going into the year, you had one of the youngest rosters in the NFL, and you didn't have a training camp because of COVID. So, what were you meant to do there? You had 8 new or unexpected starters on defense because of injuries. You had Daniil Hunter out. You had Everson leave. You had Linval leave / Michael Pierce opt out. Eric Kendricks and Barr both got hurt during the season. All
Yeah,
of your
where
core.
did Linval Joseph go?
He went to the Chargers.
He's a Charger.
Yeah, and
He
then you
must
had.
be irrelevant now.
Well, I mean, the Chargers are irrelevant.
They're the only team in the entire league that's top 10 in both offense and defense. Their problem is
And
coaching.
they have no fans to enjoy that. All right, so
Fair.
the Vikings also lost. I'm just going to say they run a nickel package. That's what they do most often. So they lost all 3 cornerbacks: Rhodes, Waynes, Mac Alexander. So you had 8 guys on defense leave or get hurt. So I mean, what were you expected to do there? The defense sucked, and I mean, even Mike Zimmer is one of the better defensive coaches. What do you expect him to do?
Is Mike Zimmer one of the better coaches, or did he have good players that were coachable?
He's one of the best defensive coaches in the NFL. I think he stinks at being a head coach because his time management is abysmal. He doesn't know when to throw a challenge flag. But
I feel like that's been one of the biggest problems this year. Is not only like kicks, number 1, field goals have been terrible, and number 2 have been challenges. They've been so bad this year.
Well, I mean, it was worse last year with PI reviews.
Pass interference, yeah. They got rid of that this year, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it's still a rule.
It's not. Anyways, looking forward to next year, I think the Vikings should be better as part of the Mike Zimmer yo-yo effect. Make the playoffs miss it. So, they're on track to make the playoffs. Plus, they get Daniil Hunter back, a top 3 edge rusher in the NFL. You get Eric Kendricks healthy. You get some of those young rookie cornerbacks some more time to play and gel with the team. And plus, who knows? You might re-sign Everson Griffin. Probably get some more pieces in the draft.
I don't think he's worth it, though. I really don't think at his age he's worth it.
He was better than every Vikings defensive end last year.
That Dookie? Imagine?
The Vikings sack leader was Yannick Ngakoue, who left in week 7.
And he sucks. If you watch his film, he is not good.
Well, I mean, his first 6 games with the Vikings, he had 5 sacks, did well. I don't think he got a sack the rest of the year.
That's tough. That's just tough.
It's real tough.
So I guess the 2 main questions going into next year is, can Mike Zimmer finally make a deep playoff run, number 1? And number 2, can Dalvin stay healthy? Because he's just every year of his career, he either had one like a season-ending injury, or he's been on and off the what's the word? Not injury reserve,
Field?
but
IR.
Not IR. What's the term? Injury report. Excuse me. Where like during practice, he's been on and off the injury report, right? Because he's always been.
Yeah.
This year he had like a shoulder and a groin injury.
Did he have a shoulder? He had a groin injury against Seattle. He missed half that game, and then he missed the Atlanta game, and then he had the bye week and got back in, and he missed the last game against Detroit because his dad passed away. Rest in peace, Mr. Cook.
I just feel like that team has so much talent, but half of them can't stay healthy. And Kyle Rudolph just fell off the planet.
Well, that's fine because the Vikings have Irv Smith and Tyler Conklin.
Yeah, but neither have really proven themselves to be the number 1 guy. Actually, I take that back. They did play pretty well this year. I watched some of their film.
Also, Kyle Rudolph is like 80 years old, so I don't want him.
He's old.
what do you say about? Oh yeah, injuries. I think a large part of that is due to not having as much off-season time and training time because
Yeah, but you could say that about any team. There was more
Oh,
injuries
I
this year
understand.
than
Yeah,
any other year in NFL
well,
history.
that's what I'm saying. I mean, you had all those defensive guys get hurt, and then you had Dalvin for a little bit. You had some offensive linemen get hurt. So, I mean, I'm not saying it's a Vikings problem. I'm saying a lot of their star players got hurt. Same with the Niners. They had it a lot worse, obviously, but you had some teams that should have been good that got held back because of those injuries, and also Vikings a little different there because they had so many young players on the defensive side of the football that just never got time to practice because of the Rona.
Yeah, Rona's really killed the NFL this year.
Yeah. All right. Well, looking ahead to next year, they get those players back. They're going to make some trades. They're going to make some free agency signings, and they're going to draft some good players because Rick Spielman does good drafting unless it's a quarterback. Then he just poops his pants. So Vikings, can you see that right now?
Yep.
So we're going to go through this list of teams that the Vikings are going to play next year. We don't know the order yet, and we're going to give you our definitely not way too early predictions on how the Vikings are going to finish.
Playoffs aren't even done yet. We're doing this.
Be quiet. So at Arizona, I think they're going to improve. I think that's probably a loss. At Baltimore, again, probably a loss. At Carolina, I'll say that's a win. At Chicago, I'm just going to say it's a loss. They don't play well there. They did this year, whatever. At Cincy, I'm going to say it's a win. Detroit, win. Green Bay, loss. And then, so I'm saying they get 3 wins on the road, 3-5 on the road. Cool. They could do better, could do worse. Who knows? We have seen essentially nothing out of what could be next year's team. No trades yet or whatever. So then at home, I'm going to say they sweep the home divisional games. I do this every year. So you're up to 8 wins on the year. 6 wins on the year. I can't do math. Then you have the Rams at home. Zimmer did coach well against the Rams in 17, but you do have a worse team than you did that year, so I'm just going to say it's a loss. At home against Seattle, I'd say it's a wild card game for the Vikings because they typically play the Seahawks hard, but it has been Seattle for like the last 8 years, so who knows? I'll just say it's a loss for now. Against Cleveland, that's Stefanski's revenge game, probably a loss. I'm going to give them a win for one of those 2 games. I don't know which one. Then versus Pittsburgh, win. Steelers stink. Versus Dallas, win. Versus Niners, win. 10 wins.
That is not accurate. So I'll say that they beat Arizona. I'll say they
Okay.
lose to Baltimore.
Okay.
They'll probably beat Carolina, unless
Okay.
Carolina improves their quarterback situation. They'll probably beat Chicago. They'll beat Tennessee, or not Tennessee, excuse me, Cincinnati. They'll beat Detroit, lose to Green Bay, lose to Chicago. I think that by then Chicago will have their groove going. So I think they'll be a little bit more competitive. Lose
Daniel,
to Detroit. What?
hey, these aren't in order. We don't know what the order is yet. These are just listed teams.
I'm just assuming that Chicago, whenever they play Chicago the second time, they lose.
Okay. All right.
We'll
Whatever.
leave it at that.
Cool.
Then Detroit, it could possibly be a Thanksgiving game, and Detroit's notoriously bad on Thanksgiving, so probably give it to them. I'll give it to the Vikings.
Okay.
Lose to Green Bay, lose to the Rams, lose to Seattle, lose to Cleveland, lose to Pittsburgh, lose to Dallas, lose to San Fran. So what, 7-9?
You think
6-10?
they lose 7 out of their? You think they lose 7 out of their 8 games at home?
I think they have a really tough schedule, man. I mean, the Rams are really good.
They
Seattle's
have one
always
of the
been good.
best home field advantages in the NFL.
That's assuming that COVID will be gone by now, and you have
Pittsburgh stinks.
I think Pittsburgh will be better this year than they were last year. They're going to get some talent in the draft, probably a new quarterback. They'll get some better coaching. I think they'll be a better team this year than they were last year. And
Pittsburgh
Dallas
is
will
going
be Dallas next year. I have them going to the Super Bowl, so it doesn't even matter.
You're a Cowboys fan. Shut
That
up.
don't matter.
That's
That don't
an
matter.
automatic. That is an automatic.
I've been
win.
saying since 2021 is the year Cowboys go to the Super Bowl.
That is garbage.
I see it.
That is garbage.
Dak is going to have a contract year, number one. Number two, the man's coming off an injury, so that you can give him comeback player of the year already. Zeke will finally get his junk together because the man's a mess. Mike McCarthy will finally have a click with the locker room. Their defense will be better because they already got a new defensive coordinator. They'll have a brand new scheme. their wide receivers will be the best in like the entire league. They'll draft an edge rusher and probably a linebacker, hopefully a couple corners and a wide receiver, maybe a tight end. They
Half
are
of the view,
stacked in every
half
facet of the game. And to go with your point, if COVID is gone, they have one of the, if not the best home field advantage in the entire league.
half of the viewers just dropped off this video because you said
I don't
that.
even care if they dropped off because I speak facts.
All right. Well, you may be dumber than
Comment
Stephen A.
down below
Smith.
how much of an idiot I am. I don't want to hear it though.
On a scale of 1 to 10, the only answer is 15. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Moving off of the Vikings here, there's not too much to talk about the rest of the teams. I mean, the Wild had a few scrimmages. Kaprizov looked nice. Rossi got hurt during some practice, unfortunately. He's out indefinitely, which sucks. Dang it, they need a center really bad. Anyways, Cam Talbot's looking good. Should they play Thursday, right? So, they play a bad team in the Kings. Should have some nice momentum going into the year. Should be fun watching hockey again.
That is
Not too.
if you can even watch hockey again, because the NHL has terrible, terrible promotional ads.
Look, YouTube TV needs to get Fox Sports North back on because I am so sick of trying to get the stupid games on wherever I can find them. It's not fun. I want to watch the real stuff. Moving on from that.
Are you implying that you just committed an act of piracy?
Shh. All right. So some Twins talk. Not much to talk about again. They're doing some small free agency moves. I do think they will make a big splash at some point. They're a team that likes to take it slow. I don't anticipate that move coming anytime soon. Maybe it does ramp up, probably early February, late January, now that the season is expected to start on time. Nelson Cruz re-signing still up in the air. Who knows what's going to happen there? Cruz does want to re-sign with Minnesota. Hopefully that happens. And that's some Gopher stuff. The hockey team's ranked first still. Everyone else stinks. And basketball team's ranked 23rd after some bad losses recently.
Hate to see it. Sounds tough. Sounds like Minnesota sports is doing really well overall.
Really bad?
Really, no. They're top 5, easy.
Top 5 bad?
No, top 10, bro. What are you talking about? Like top 5 all time, easy. They suck right now. They're absolutely god awful.
Yes.
Minnesota's one of the worst sports towns right now.
Look, the Wolves won on Sunday, and I'm going to enjoy that.
Yeah, and you treat Karl Anthony Towns like he's the second coming of LeBron James. I don't want to hear it. He cannot single-handedly carry your team.
I wish you could watch Wolves games because you would see that he is single-handedly carrying this team.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on from that stuff, moving on to some picks here. I'm doing terrible. I am on a cold streak like no other. So we're going to change some things up here moving forward. We're going to assign each thing a point value like basketball. So your stupid predictions like the Lakers are going to beat the Rockets. That's a free throw, 1 point, cool. Your general predictions like Jefferson winning a Rookie of the Year, that's going to be just a simple field goal, probably 50-50 chance it happens at this point, 2 points. And then your big fish, your absolute hot take, or not hot take, super bold prediction, that's going to be a 3-pointer. So
Did you
right
just make
now,
a pun? Did you say super bold or Super Bowl?
super bold.
Oh. Would have been funny if you made the pun.
No, it wouldn't. Either way, I'm shooting, I'm 3 of 10, 6 points. I stink. Daniel, on the other hand, 7 of 10, 14 points.
7 of 10, thank you very much.
I said 7 of 10.
You said 7 and 10.
Oh. I apologize. So I have some ground to make up. Predictions, we'll go over some predictions that were on the board coming into this week. I had Cheryl's to Minnesota. That never happened. Minnesota, the Minnesota-Chicago game, week 15, it was. I said the winner would win by 2 scores. That didn't happen. I also had Philly plus 6.5 in week 15. That didn't happen. But then I did say KC -3, Cleveland -4, and Bailey would be perfect against the Bears. Those 3 happened, and those are the only correct predictions I have on the year. Wonderful. Uh, Daniel, you said Peterson would be fired in 2 weeks from 4 weeks ago at this point. That didn't happen. He got
Hey,
fired later.
okay, you should give me at least 1 point for that, considering
Nope.
that he did get fired. He
Nope.
did get fired. We all
That
knew that
wasn't
it was going to happen.
that wasn't your prediction. You also said that
Oh,
Trevor
be
Lawrence was good.
quiet.
You also said that Trevor Lawrence was going to stay in Clemson. He didn't. Yeah, but then you had Tennessee minus 10.5, Washington plus 6, Buffalo minus 6.5, all of that in week 15. Those all hit. And then you said Lynn would be fired. Anthony Lynn would be fired on Black Monday. That did happen. I hate this stupid segment.
You're the one that made it.
Be quiet. This week, I'm taking Cleveland plus 10 at Kansas City. Let me pull this up here. Kansas City is where is it? Kansas City's 0-7-1 against the spread in the last 8 games. That's the only reason I'm taking Cleveland the points. What are you taking first off?
First off, I'm going to take the Bills Ravens. I don't have a particular number against the spread or for the spread, so I'm just going to go with the fact that I think that Buffalo is the significantly better team. I think that the Ravens are so overrated. Same with Lamar Jackson. He's playing well. He's probably playing his best football right now, but they've been incredibly inconsistent this year. Well, they'll go on a long winning streak, and then they'll lose 3 straight. I just don't think that they're that good of a playoff team in general. I don't think Lamar can really, Lamar hasn't had to deal with a lot of adversity, and I don't think he can really get the ball downfield. So I'm expecting Tre'Davious White to be all over the field that game, covering literally every single receiver. He won't get anyone open, and I trust that D line to keep Lamar Jackson in the pocket. So give me Buffalo on that.
I want to change that to 1 point. That seems like a
No.
lock. That seems like a lock.
Well, it really isn't, considering that I would have taken Tennessee last week. Tennessee is a way better team than Baltimore, and they lost. So
I don't know why that spread's at 2 only. That's the only reason I'm going to leave it at 2 points, just because the spread's so close. Anyways, my next pick, I'm taking Green Bay minus 6.5 versus the Rams. I don't want them to win, but it just seems like they're going to win. I mean, Green Bay is on fire right now.
Aaron Rodgers having an MVP season.
Unfortunately,
Shout out to the quarterback for the fantasy team.
Unfortunately, that is the case. Your fantasy team lost. I don't want to hear it.
Quiet. Stardust Crusaders came in third. I don't want to hear it.
Look, I want the Rams to win really bad. I think they're one of the only teams in the NFL who can keep it close with the Chiefs. I think that defense is insane, but I just don't know how they're going to stop Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. Obviously, Jalen Ramsey is a phenomenal cornerback, but I mean, also, you're going to start Wolford? You're going to start Goff again? Yeah, nah.
I mean, hopefully by then Jarrett's fingers healed up, because he looked really bad in that Seattle game.
Also, I think Jared Goff, I don't know. I don't have the numbers in front of me. But he stinks in cold weather, and this is going to be like an 18-degree, 22-degree game or something like that. Whatever. The Rams are going to lose.
He just kind of stinks in general. He really isn't that good.
Facts. All right, your next pick.
I feel bad for him, but I like Jared Goff. My next pick is that I have the Bucks beating the Saints, and maybe it's the Boston sports fan in me, but I just think that Drew Brees is not playing particularly well right now. That defense really did not look too good. Specifically, the Bucks defense did not look good up against the football team, against a fifth-string quarterback.
Hey,
but, that's just the way it is.
Heineke's a future MVP. I don't know what you're talking about.
Heineke is a future MVP. I don't want to hear it. That man is the next Trubisky. Anyways, I just think that the Bucks are the better team. I feel like Drew Brees is done. I don't expect them to play super well. I think that there's way more talent on that Bucks team than the Saints, and I think the Saints' incoming offseason will be absolutely horrendous. Write this one down. Saints go 0-16 next season.
Do you want to put that in?
That is an absolute fact. They have to cut nearly their entire roster, their entire starting roster at least. They're $100 million over the cap.
Do you want me to put that down as one of your picks for this week?
Sure.
I'll happily do that.
Or actually, maybe not 0-16, but I don't see them winning more than 5 games.
What do you want me to take off?
Probably. What were my two predictions again?
Yeah, Dak staying in Dallas. I don't want to. I don't want to ruin these. You can read those for yourself.
Oh, you can take the Dak one off.
All right.
Mark my
Uh,
words, they don't win more than 5 games.
all right. My next pick, prediction. We're only doing 2 picks this week because I'm not going to pick basketball games. You only have the spreads for the next 2 days, and that's lame. So Jefferson's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Simple. He broke a few records. Herbert broke a few records, but Jefferson was by far the better player. He was top 3 in receiving yards.
Who was the more valuable player, though?
Jefferson.
You really think that Justin Jefferson... Never mind. I think that's a bad take.
I don't care. It's 2 points. So I'm going to take it. What's your prediction?
My prediction is that Celtics end up winning the East because Giannis is terrible. He's become literally pandemic P. He cannot jump shoot anymore. There's like no competitors in the East anymore. Maybe the Sixers are okay. I mean, they're number 1 in the East right now, I believe. But the Celtics have probably the best roster, not in the NBA, but in the East, and without a doubt.
That's early on. I'll give that to you. So, my second to last prediction. I'm doing a little parlay here. I'm saying the Wolves win against Memphis on Wednesday, and Cat's going to get a double-double in that game. So, should happen.
Yeah, so the second coming of Jesus Christ is going to get a double-double next week. Mark it down, guys.
You know it.
Carl Anthony Towns of Nazareth. Expect it. I'm seeing it. Not at all.
I know what the thumbnail's going to be.
What's the thumb? Oh, are you going to Photoshop Carl Anthony Towns on top of Jesus' body?
No, definitely. Why would I do that?
Bruh. That's blasphemy, you know.
What's your
You're
next
a good
pick?
Christian boy.
Be quiet. What's your next pick?
We only had 2 picks.
No, we... Oh, all right. We'll just... Okay. You picked New Orleans, no more than 5 games. Cool. All right. My last pick... I'm going to say Anthony Edwards and Justin Jefferson are going to recreate that Randy Moss and Kevin Garnett Sports Illustrated cover at some point in time. You know what? I'll put a time limit on that. Within a year. Within a year, they will recreate that picture. So, by 2022. Your last pick? Your last pick?
My last pick. Oh, yes, of course. I see Deshaun Watson getting traded. I think that the Texans kind of just have to give in. He has all the leverage, pretty much. If he holds out, they're not... I mean, what are they going to do? What can they do, really? I see him either going to Miami or, like, New England, possibly.
That's not part of the pick.
Chicago would be pretty good. The Falcons, you need probably a new quarterback. You have to wonder how many more years do they have with Matt Ryan. The Panthers, I think, would be a really good fit. I don't see it happening, but if the Panthers had a guy like Deshaun Watson, they'd be a really big threat in the NFC.
They would. All right, whatever. Hopefully I make it spin on Daniel because right now my record stinks, like really bad, like Timberwolves cat bad. But that's going to do it for the show this week. Hopefully the Wolves catch some fire going forward with Cat. Hopefully the Wild get off to a hot start. And, yeah, that's going to do it. Have yourselves a great week. We'll be back here on Wednesday.